I'm going to put this gradient on top of this. Okay. And then I'm going to go, actually, I don't even need to do that. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to go to my transparency window. And right here is this make mask thing. Okay, so what that did, you guys know how to use a layer mask in Photoshop, right?
Mhm.
It's the same thing, right? So I'm going, I think it's what's white gets hidden and what's black gets revealed or whatever, or vice versa. So now I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go to this tool and I can pull this however I want it. I want to pull it this way. And I can just adjust that fade, right?
Mhm.
Now, what was happening on Monday was I was doing this. And see how it disappears?
Yeah.
That's because if you look right here, the image and the mask are not linked. Do you see that?
Mhm.
I want to make sure I select both. And now it's linked. So now when I move it, it's fine. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're either moving the image outside of the mask or vice versa, right? So then it doesn't, you just got to make sure they're linked together and it's in your transparency palette. Does that make sense? Now, the reason that was important is this. Where's Victor at? Is he still not here? Victor's not here, right? Because I know he had a work thing he emailed me about. But he's still putting up his work. Okay, I'm going to shut this. Hang on. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to group it, but I'm going to take it into this other file. Oops, gosh damn it. I'm going to put it in the other file because it should be a little easier to manage in another file. And I'm going to flip this. I want to mirror it. Good enough. This file's just heavy, man. Okay, so let's get rid of this one. Hang on, that didn't paste in there. I think this file's too heavy for this. So, and there it goes. Now I'm going to go this way. That's do for now. And then again, I'm going to make sure this is locked. There it is. I'm going to group it. I'd have to make sure it's behind that, obviously. And then I could just dial that nice blend in so it gets a nice reflection. Make sense? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go up here a little bit. And also, so I'm going to go up here and then I'm going to double click this. And I'm going to knock this down to like 50. Let's see what that does. Just want a little smoother blend here. There, that's a little better. Then I'm probably going to take the whole thing. A little bit. I'm in front of, oops. Again, now it unlocked itself again. So I'm going to come back over here. There it is. And I got this on top. I would never have it on top. It'd be behind. And then I might, again, come in here. Probably do this with, and I might find a way to put, and again, I'd go in with my, thin thick thing, and I'd make that line look nice, and I'd probably pull it down. But it's nice if you can get some water surface, something going over the reflection. Does that make sense? Or if it's like a flat thing like this, let me close all these off. Let's try this. Sometimes if it's like a flat, I'm looking out at a, whatever you call that, a lake or something, I can get away with doing some of those surface reflections, those like sparkly surface reflections. And I'm going to knock it down a little bit. Sort of like that. Does that make sense? Sometimes out there, like when you look out at the water, the light, the sun will be hitting a certain spot and it just sort of gets this like ripply thing along the top of it, right? Does that make sense? So there's different ways you can do it, but what I'm trying to do is get things that are like over this reflection a little bit and doing some interesting things with the water. Yeah. Like, I think this is interesting that he pulled this little bit of warmth into the, as it goes into the water. Does that make sense? Because that's what happens, right? The sand's going in, it affects the color while it's still not deep, it affects the color and then it goes out to blue or whatever. Okay, does that all make sense? Okay, so let's look at something else here. Hopefully this won't bog my machine down. I can't tell if I'm recording. Yeah, it is recording. Okay. I'm going to grab one of these guys. I'm going to group it. Put it over here. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this, but one of the easiest ways to do it is just to take this and dump it into here, into your swatches. I'm going to double click it and I get this. Oops. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so now I'm going to go here, make sure I got the whole thing selected. And like if I come out here, now let's also go here. I'm going to go here to these little right here. It's overlap. So I can adjust how they overlap each other. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, now I can also come in here and go change this to, let's go to, I don't know, 10 points. I don't know what that's going to look like. Okay, so that pulled it all in. Okay, and if these are linked right here, like they are, they're not linked here. Let's do this now. Let's link them. And let's do that again. Let's go 100. Pulls them in, pulls them out. And that what that's doing is how much spacing they have. Okay, let's just go back to whatever it was, the basic one. And I want to go higher. I want to go 400. There, that pushed them out. You see that? Okay, now you can also come in here. Let's go a little less. Let's go 300. That's not too bad. Now, if I pull this, again, it's going to just pull them. They're going to adjust out. Sometimes, by the way, sometimes even though you have this object grouped, sometimes you still have to swipe the whole thing or it'll disconnect the parts in this window for some reason. I don't know why. So let's see if it's still doing that. Yeah, that's better. Okay, and if you notice, this is the only one that's active. Does that make sense? So I'm going to push them out again a little more. A little more. There used to be a way to do this manually where you could slide it and they just kind of do that, but I can't remember how to do it or if it's even still there. Oops. Damn it. Let's try 420. That's a little better. Okay, also, okay, so right here where you see grid, it'll mix them up how they're spaced. Kind of like that. So that's brick by column, right? Then you have this, and you have the overlap. Dim images to 70% is why the repeating ones, if you notice, they're reduced. Do you see that? I like it like that, but you could just click that off. Okay, now also I can take this. And let's say that I like that. I'm going to go done. Okay, I don't need this. And now what happens is, hang on. I'm getting like tons of emails today. And the only reason I'm checking my phone is because we're doing the schedule right now. That's the only reason I'm checking my phone. Okay, so if you go here now in my swatches, let's pull a square. And if I go right here, this is the one I just made. You can name it too in there. It has a thing where you can name it, okay? Oops, I'm on line. Go back to my swatches and go here. And I made this really big, so I shouldn't have. And it gives me a pattern. And you can see I offset it. I actually kind of like that. I offset it a little bit. Okay, I made one yesterday. Hang on. do another one. This one isn't quite as big. And what's cool about this is no matter what I do here with this shape, it's just going to keep filling it. Does that make sense? Very good for textile pattern design, right? If you're doing sheets, bedspreads, all that stuff, right? And a bunch of other stuff. And then you can, and we'll talk about this a little later, you can get them where you can do them repeat, where you can do a repeat pattern where they sort of lock together. Does that make sense? Now, if I was just doing this, I don't need to do that because it's just a repeat pattern all over the place, right? And you could put a background color in there if you want. I like it this way because then I can go and I can put whatever I want back here because it's transparent, right? And also, it's going to work in any of these shapes, or really any shape, period. So on and so forth. Does that make sense? Very simple, right? You know, you can also go up here. Where is it? Pattern options. That's just going to give you the same window, and you can go here and go make pattern. I just take it and drag it into the swatch panel. Does that make sense? It's just easier, you know, however you want to do it. If you notice, everything exists up in the file menu and everything exists just in palettes and things like that, right? Josh? That's how that works. Okay, any questions on that? No? Everybody's good? Okay, I don't need to look at Victor's. He's not here. Okay, where are you at? Where's Emily? Am I missing Emily? I am missing Emily. So I got two people. Okay, Ryan or Victor I already know about. Emily I don't know about. Victor's already talked to me. What do you think?
I'm happy with it.
Did you guys get my fonts?
Yeah.
If you got Windows, I don't know if that works, right?
Mhm.
Who's on? Is anybody on Windows?
Yeah.
Did they work for you?
The one I tried, yeah.
Wow, that's weird. I didn't think they were cross-platform. And I didn't. And that was that was a file that I cleaned up where it all made sense, right? The file, the fonts. Okay.
I just need to like straighten things out on this one. I didn't realize the bottom text all moved to the left for some reason.
No, that's probably here. Let's do this. This is probably why. And I gave you guys this skull file, okay?
Oh, nice.
I mean, you can use anything. You can make your own shape. It doesn't matter. I don't know why I just always, I think because one time this class fell on Halloween, so I just used those. Or it fell around Halloween. So let's go here. Hang on. Let's try this. That's better, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what it was is I had to go in here to your fonts folder, double click that, and then tell it to install. Okay. So if you're ever getting these files from somebody, make sure that you're doing that. Don't call them up and go, hey, I don't have the fonts. And they're like, dude, it's packaged. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I'm
Yes.
always really concerned, especially for students and stuff, because I've seen this from the other side of the fence, where somebody gives me big indicators they don't know what they're doing.
Mm,
Okay. And it does not give me confidence. Does that make sense? And there's
Right.
certain things that you think, just like I thought there were small things that my teacher told me, and I go, that guy's full of crap. Nobody's going to care about that. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
then, boy, were they right. Okay. By the way, Gaylord Eccles died today, who was a big teacher over at Art Center. He'd been there for like 40 years. So that's
Wow.
2 in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
And the reason I point that out is that these people are really important.
Mhm.
Really, really good teachers. I remember seeing him all the time. He scared the shit out of me. I didn't have him as a teacher, but there was just certain guys around there that, and it's probably any major college like that. They just scare the crap out of you from their reputation of, and I don't mean that because he doesn't sound like he was he sounded like he was actually a pretty nice guy. Just the reputation of the work they've done,
Mhm.
which made them scary to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I always just sort of like was too chicken shit to go talk to him. Just totally stupid. But anyway, those kind of things like printing problems, you hand off a file. And I think I said this in here. I want to talk about this next week, by the way. I want to go over this a little bit of the printing stuff. And a little bit, I'm going to go over a little bit about a die line idea. I'm not going to do a package design, or maybe I will. I might do a package design in here. I haven't decided yet. But even if we don't, I want to talk about some die lines and things, okay? And handling that kind of stuff and sort of how you're setting up your job for print. I'm not going to go into it in the way that obviously you need to go take a print production class over in the print technology department, but I can talk a little bit about it. And I had somebody one time. Now, have we talked about spot colors in here? If we did, very briefly, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens here, and I'll just say this very briefly. I'll go over it a little more later. What happens here is when you go onto a 4-color press, if it's a commercial job, it's a big, giant, long press. It's got all these color stations in it. I mean, they're 50 feet long. They're huge, right? They got 1 million moving parts in it, and it spits out your sheet at the end of it, right? Big machine, right? Usually in a big warehouse type thing. And then they'll have a light. Usually they'll have a light table. And I mean, it's a booth. They'll have a booth. It's daylight balanced light that shines down on the print. They give me the print. I put the print. I usually took it outside in diffused light. I also looked at it in the light blue booth. And I also looked at it in the crappy lighting in the warehouse. Okay. My 0 reference point for light is in the shade outside in natural daylight. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. Because that's a 0 daylight is the same all throughout the world. I mean, it might vary a little bit, but it's basically the same. Okay. Now, the reason I look at it in the crappy light is because I can't control where that package is going. In some of those cases, they were going to Costco and big box retailers and things like that has the worst lighting in the world. Okay. So I know that if, I'm going to balance it out to the daylight, but I also want to look at it in crappy lighting just to get a look at it. Okay. And then I might look at it in the light booth. I've never been that big a fan of light booths. They always feel a little blue to me, but whatever. Okay, so you've got 4 plates that creates 4-color process. Everybody knows what that is, right? That's just your, everything you see, basically, a magazine, anything with just, they call them continuous tone looking images, it looks like a photograph, okay? But it's actually half-toned. Now, if I'm doing a package for whoever, Starbucks, and any company has that green logo that Starbucks has, that is here. Look. So if we go here and we go down here and past swatches, that's just your regular swatch palette. Okay. But if we go down further to swatch libraries, look at all these libraries. Okay. Now, this is a color book library. And if you notice here, it has focal tone, These are all color matching systems, okay? They're pretty much irrelevant except this one, Pantone, which are called PMS colors. I don't have a book here. You usually have a Pantone book, has all their numbers, all their colors in it, all that stuff, right? You can get them where you can tear the chips out, all that stuff. But I'm going to go down here to Pantone Solid Coated, okay? And it gives me this palette, okay? Now, if I go in here and let's say Starbucks green is, I don't want that one. Let's get a different one. Of course, I'm picking up these weird colors. Let's say it's Pantone 801C, which is what this is, right? And I go, okay. I got the Starbucks, let's say this right here. You called it out as a specific color, right? And you go, it's Pantone 801C. Now, what's going to happen there is by default, a 4-color job is going to create 4 plates, right? And now it's going to create a 5th plate just for this color. Now, why do I need to do that?
Is it to get like that specific color?
They're going to mix that ink. They're going to go, what's 801C? It's this, this, and this. They got a formula. They're going to mix that ink. And then just, if you do it in 4 color, it has to average. You only have 4 colors. So it's going to try to make it as close to that as it can. And it's like that Starbucks green is a very specific green. It's not probably going to hit it. Okay. Another example is Easter candy. Okay. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but a lot of Easter candy comes in like neon packaging, right? You can't get neon out of 4-color process. It's a specific kind of ink, right? So then you have to go, okay, this thing's got this crazy neon orange. I've got to have a separate plate for that if I want to hit that orange. Because if I do it in 4-color process, it's going to be a very dull orange. It's not going to look neon at all. Okay. Now, when I was doing that, I would usually go to the manufacturers and go, I'm doing these all up on a sheet. I've got 20 boxes on one sheet. I need to do 4-color process, you guys. I can't, this would be like 15 spot colors, which is going to cost a fortune. I can't do that. Okay. Now, the other things you might use this for is somebody goes, I want to do a really inexpensive job, or maybe it's a business card, or I don't know, something 2-color, it could be a 2-color job. Now I could call out a spot color, a PMS color, and another PMS color. And I'm only using 2 plates, maybe 3, right? You never go, I'm going to do a 4-color spot job. You're not going to do that, because the reason you're using spots and you're using 3 colors is because you're reducing the number of plates that they have to burn. Does that make sense? And then you just work, like, if you ever seen those old illustrations in old, especially in like old children's books, there'll be like this orange, and then there'll be like a cyan blue, and that's the only 2 colors they use. Well, that was for that reason. Okay. And then it looks to me like they basically just adjusted the orange a little bit, and then they use cyan because that's a default ink. So that was a job that was knocked out to be really cheap. Does that make sense? So it's either you're doing a 1, 2, 3 color job to reduce the cost, or you're doing a 4-color job, and then you're doing some separate passes, plates to hit a specific color. And also you can have them do specific varnish passes, like this headline on yours, Josh. I might go, hey, I want a reticulated varnish on that. And they'll create a plate and just hit it with a clear varnish that has a texture, or just a clear. It's like when you see, you've seen this, where you see packaging and just certain things have varnish on them, so it pops out.
Yeah.
Okay. And now they have a lot of specialty varnishes. It could also be, I put a separate thing on my, it's not a plate, but for a foil stamp hit. Does that make sense? Or if I want boom foil on it, and that's a different thing. They create a die, and it comes in, and bam, it hits it, and it, and it's a totally wasteful process, by the way, because you'll have one word you're hitting. They run this ribbon through it. It just hits that ribbon, and everything it doesn't hit, they just throw it away. Okay. Which always drove me crazy. Okay. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So another thing you have in here, since we're talking about this, and it's not here, it's not your swatches. This one, the first one, it's not that one. That's this, your typical swatch palette thing. you're going to go past that to swatch libraries, and then look. They have corporate, default. Look here. Nature. Ooh, let's go here. Let's get rid of this one. Oh, but what I was going to say was I had somebody, I might have said this before. I had somebody who I didn't like hiring freelance. I only hired him when it was a release valve for my team. Okay. Usually during the holidays or something. I hired this freelance person. They gave me back. I expect that file to be file ready or press ready. Okay. You'll learn about that if you take print technology. You don't just hand them a file. It's got to be press ready. Okay. And it's going to go through what's called the ripping software, and the pre-press guy is going to call you if there's any problems and so on and so forth. I had somebody, they handed me back the press ready file. There was 27 spot colors in it. Do you know how insane that is? So that's 4 color process plus 27 plates. You would never do a job like that ever. Okay. And when I called them, I said, you don't understand how to set this up for print. Oh yeah, I do. And I go, no, you don't. Cause I'm looking at it right now and it's got 27 spot colors. Okay. And I go, let's just be clear here. I'm never going to hire you again. I go, I'm going to pay you for this job, but I don't think I should. And now I've got to rip your whole damn file apart and do it myself, which is a big pain in the ass. And this is when I wasn't teaching or anything. And I go to Fullerton College, go take a print technology class. They have a great print technology department, and get your shit together, because you're going to lose every single client you do from here on out if you hand them this kind of a mess. And I was actually doing it to be nice. I know it sounds harsh, but I wasn't trying to be harsh, right? The reason I got harsh about it is that then they told me they did know what they were doing, and that pissed me off. You know what I mean? It's like, you do not know what you're doing. Okay. Okay. So let's get rid of this one. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in the Pantone area here, where if I go to color books, there's all these different ones, metallic coated, all these different things. Okay. Then I can go here to, let's go to neutral or nature. Let's go to beach. And it gives me this palette, right? Or this is an interesting one here, swatch libraries, gradients, and let's go to metals. So it automatically gives me all these metallics. And what's cool about it is then I can go to my gradient tool, because I might go, okay, that's almost there, but for my illustration, when I put it in, I might have to adjust it. And I can go here and I can just go, okay, this should come over here a little more. This should go over there. Or I could, click and drag it and add another one in here, maybe go here and go, I want that a little darker. But it gives me a really nice starting point. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look at this one, rainbow. I mean, these things are all really nice time savers. The copper one I've used a lot, where it's like, boom, it's right there, and I just adjust it. Okay. And there's, I don't know what kid stuff is. That's so it's all kid colors. These things are all time savers, obviously. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't ever do what I did. Like, get very good at your craft, but don't do what I did, where I went in and I go, I'm not using those things, man. I'm going to come up with my own thing. That's totally stupid. Because guess what? At the end of the day, if I'm doing copper, it's basically going to look like that.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I waste my time dialing it in? That's going to take me an extra 15 minutes or whatever. And that 15 minutes matters. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then this one, metal. I don't even know what metal is. Oh, see, these are all, just metal-ish kind of colors. Skin tones. I didn't even know they had skin tones. That's interesting. Well, that's cool. I didn't know they had that. And then foods, I don't know, beverages. I mean, it's just interesting. You know what I mean? This one's handy right here. This one's really handy. Neutrals are probably handy. And then this one. And here's default. So if yours disappears, because sometimes you'll notice your swatch panel disappears or the colors disappear, you can come in here, and I usually default it to print, or you can go art and illustration, but I usually default to print. That's up to you. And I like, where is it? There's one in here that's I think it's pastels or something. Oh no, maybe it's here. Yeah, pastel. Okay, so here's another thing. So let's say I go here and I go, well, I want to use my Pantone book just to because it has some good pastels in it for me to start with. Right?
Hmm.
But then I'm going to send this file off to my client and I don't want to have it via spot color, right?
Right.
Then I would go in at the end of that process, make a copy of the file. I'd select everything and I'd go up here to edit colors, and I'd switch it to, it should say it right here, convert to CMYK. And then it would go back to all those colors would convert to CMYK colors. Does that make sense? So the person who sent me 27 spot colors should have done that. Should have just selected everything, make sure the file was now a CMYK color with no spots. Dye line on one layer. I put a background and then I sandwich in my other information. And then if I have a varnish pass layer or a file, or if I have any specialty thing, if I have a foil stamp, all that goes on different layers. It's all called out. Does that make sense? And I'll find some old package stuff if I can find it. And maybe we might do that. I actually like that. What's really cool is if you go over to Print Technology, they have the cutting table and all that stuff, so they can cut it, score it, and it looks trick. Okay. Okay, all that makes sense, yes?
Yeah.
I might just try one more thing with the edges here. Maybe you could, and I don't think it's necessarily they're soft, but maybe, that's gonna groove into something, you know what I mean? And just
Right.
try it. I don't know if that's really gonna matter or not. Because we're doing a dance here where this isn't a documentary, right?
Right.
It's not a photograph. So there's a level of like when I'm referencing nature or something, I am not by any means trying to get you to make it look quote unquote realistic. I want it to look stylized like this. Okay.
Mhm.
And are these like steaming?
Yeah.
I might push those a little harder.
Hmm.
And I'd also, let's see. Oops. Like, is it? So you got this lighter blue. I'm just going to half-ass this color so I don't have to pick it all. So let's go. God, this is annoying. I have to check all these because of this stupid schedule.
Mm.
And for some reason, I'm just getting a ton of emails today. Okay. Okay, so let's go back. I want to go back to my default. Oops. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to find a blue for now. And then up here. Same blue. I don't know why it's cutting off right there. See how it's cutting off right there?
Yeah.
Wait, is that going behind something? It's going behind something. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go maybe a little hotter down here. And again, I'm not going to try and dial in this color. And maybe even here. So I'm going to put another one here. I'm going to go even hotter. And then here, I'm going to darken it out a little bit and probably pull it down a little bit. And it's still a little too dense here, so I might come back in here and knock this down a little more. And maybe kind of steam it up a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's
now,
cool.
so now we're kind of reading it a little more, right?
Mhm.
Now another thing I might do is this stuff is affecting this, right? So somewhere out of my range, the lava's flowing into that lake, right?
Mhm.
So I might go, and I don't know. Let's see if this works. I'm gonna go back to this blue. There's a couple ways I could do this. I'm gonna try this. And let's try the same blue. Oh, wait. What are you typing, Josh?
Oh, that was not me.
Oh,
Let's type another.
okay. So I'm going to get this a little like that, and then I'm going to try this. Maybe just go to the same blue again. Only I'm going to go to 0. Okay, I got to cut it. I'm going to have to cut it off. So I'm trying this. I don't know if this is going to work or I'll have to do it a different way. It's got to go lighter. Where is it? I'm going to knock down the transparency of it. And maybe I could start to build some like bubbles and things in here, right?
Yeah.
Now, another way I could do that, because I don't like the way it's sort of abrupt, I might just do it as a graphic idea and just go. Even that's kind of cool. But I wanted to get rid of this, go to this. Way too big. Oops. You know, and I could probably pull this back. You know, and maybe it's just a combination of sort of this idea and this one together or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
However you want to handle it. I mean, there's a million ways you could do that. I don't think I got the color dial in at all yet. I think it should be closer to this probably. You know, maybe I just come up with some fun solution to give it a little bit of like bloop, 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 right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so now you get this nice foreground element, right?
Yeah.
You got this is strong. Here's another thing I might do. This tree is sort of merging with the volcano.
Mm-hmm.
See that?
Yeah.
So you probably pull that away or something, whatever it takes. Because you want a nice clear read on that volcano. Yeah?
Right.
Because that's a nice strong silhouette. And I might even go like here. Wait. Shoot.
So one thing I was going to ask you about, so I have that frame in the middle with all the, with all the illustration.
Yeah.
I want to cut everything that is on the white side off.
Here?
Yeah, I had tried doing it earlier and I thought it worked and actually just like broke apart everything into
I
like
like it breaking the border. You don't want it to break the border?
I don't mind on the plant, but there's parts that stick out, like at the bottom left
Oh, I
and
see.
the top right.
Okay, so let's say it's here. I'll just use this as an example, yeah?
Mhm.
So what layer is that? God, I hate it when it drops those sub layers like that.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm on this layer. Okay, so let's turn everything else off. Okay, so one thing I could do, and I would probably do this like when I'm sort of done with it, because then I could go in and like flatten the layers if there's like multiple layers that I want to block off. Like if
Mhm.
you want this one to stay out, then I wouldn't collapse that layer. And I always keep the original layered file, right?
Okay.
But you should be able to come in here. And go up to select both of them, go up to clipping mask make, and now it clips it off.
Oh, okay.
So I just clipping mask it. Now, the other thing you could do if you really want to, you could go in and put a shape over it and then go to your Pathfinder tool and literally just cut it off. You could do it that way. That might be better if you're just going to individual elements to just go Pathfinder them off.
Yeah.
Because if we go here, I mean, I could just do it this way and go Pathfinder. Yeah, there's something funky with this. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's probably, is it got a gradient in it? It's an overlay and stuff. That's probably why. So I just,
Yeah.
you know, I could come out. Let's see if it'll let me do this. Oops, where'd it go? There it is. This is where Command Y comes in handy. It's right there.
Mhm.
And also I can look at this like this and go, I'm a little over, pull it down a little bit. You could use your smart guides for that too, by the way, where it'll tell you when it lines up perfect,
Yeah.
right? Which is actually the smart way to do it. And then I'm going to grab this. I'm going to go back to this and see if I can just go, yeah. And that just cut it off. I was off, right? Because I didn't use my smart guides. Hang on. Like people are sending me stuff from my other class because apparently I haven't unlocked the folder yet. And it's like, you guys know I'm going to unlock the folder. You know what I mean? It's like, don't send it to me in my email. It just means I forgot. Okay. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
But I like this breaking the border over here.
Mhm.
Okay. And just make sure that this isn't, you see how that was merging into that, right?
Yeah.
Is this a name you made up right here?
No, that's in Costa Rica.
Oh, is it really? Do they really have a
Yeah.
volcano?
Yeah.
You know what I can't figure out is like you hear about like there's like glaciers in like Argentina or someplace.
Huh.
Right? And you go,
That's
you
not
go,
where I expect them to be. But that's
no,
cool.
it's totally weird. But then when you look at it, it's like, well, they're getting way down towards the that'd be a
Yeah.
South Pole or something. It's just totally weird to me. Okay, good. Any other questions?
No. Thank you, Mike.
You change these over here, huh?
Yeah.
I
figuring
like
that
this like clayish grayish or a clayish orangey thing.
out. Different colors.
Okay, so what are you thinking?
Just been playing around with what we talked about before with the lighting. Not sure if I'm 100% happy with it yet, but
That's what I like.
experimenting.
By the way, that's part of what I like about this program is I can literally just go in there and pick any little thing and adjust and adjust and adjust and adjust and adjust. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Which
Yeah.
I love. All right. So you don't have any questions?
I have two. One of them is I know you mentioned it before, but sometimes when I might make a copy, make a gradient, and I put it back, I don't put it on exactly where it was. Is there a way to align the layers?
Smart guide.
Smart guides?
Yeah, because if I go in here, let's see if I can do something with this. I'm going to go view. Where is my smart guides? Here it is. Command U.
Mhm.
And it starts giving me this right there. See that? So
Yeah.
look, like this right here, it's looking at the bottom of this.
Mhm.
And look, it goes, okay, you're lined up right there.
Okay.
If I go over this, it should tell me right there. It says center.
Yeah.
See that?
Oh.
So that'll
'Cause I
just
know
go, and it'll lock it on.
Yeah, because I know you also showed that you can click on like the align tools or something.
Yeah, you
like
can
that.
go, okay, so that's a different thing. So if I go here
Mhm.
and I go, here they are right here.
Yeah.
So I can go line them up. They're already lined up. I could, and they're already that way. I could go this way. I can go this way.
Mhm.
And that by centering them here and then telling it to go up here, it's sort of lining them up.
Okay.
Okay, because what I did was is I go line them up this way and it makes them lined up. And then I go, okay, now line them up on the top line and it goes bink and it takes the highest one up there. So that essentially does the same thing.
Okay.
Okay. Now, here's the problem with that once in a while. So if you have a problem with it, go to your smart guides because I use these all the time. There's something weird with like type and things like that that sometimes it doesn't put them exactly right. Usually with shapes, it's okay. If there's anything, funky about it, it might be a little weird. This one worked really good. You can go, that reminds me of some other thing. Now this one, I'm just gonna, okay, so let's do this. They're off,
Mhm.
okay? So let's go right here to the middle one. And then I'm gonna go right here to this one and make sure it's lined up this way. And now they're lined up. Because what did I do? I told it to line it up right dead square to each other. Then I told it to line it up horizontally this way. You can see how it makes sense with these guides, right?
Yeah.
Like right here.
Mhm.
This is lining up vertically. This is lining up to the left, to the right, to the top. This is doing that, still lining them up. Bottom, blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank
Does
you.
that answer that?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
And then the second question was we talked about my gradient tool kind of acting up. So I made that actual piece that you are working on as an example.
Oh, here. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's wrong with it?
When I make, the 1 point transparent, it still kind of makes it white and lighter versus being transparent.
Okay, let me take this. You're talking about this piece right here, right?
Yeah.
So you want to fade out to nothing.
Yeah, so that I have a dark and then a fade to the original color that's below.
Okay, part of it is that it's going off outside of your shape.
Okay.
Okay, so if I pull this down, and when you have an irregular shape, it gets a little trickier. But you can see it will fade to 0. It's just that it's going sort of this way, right? So I might have to fiddle with it and pull it a little bit to get it where I want it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Now,
So I've just been doing it wrong.
Another thing, well, what you got to remember is when you have a shape,
Mhm.
if you want it to fade to 0, it's got to fade out before it hits the edge.
Okay.
Right. And then the other thing you might want to do if you want to make a more complex version of this, like if you can't quite line it up right, then use that gradient blend or linear gradient, whatever it's called. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Mhm.
This one. This one here. Freeform gradient. Because then you can really dial it in.
Yeah.
And you can have certain things, then you could have it sort of follow that and then let things, go to 0 that you want. And you could really dial it in if you need to. Yeah?
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
It just has to fade out before it hits the edge and blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, it's going to pick up that hard edge.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I think that's it for today.
So exhausting. All
We'll
right.
keep you on your toes, Mike.
Yeah, good. Okay, now we're starting to move into the foliage, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, the one other thing I'd say is like, what's going to be back here?
Just the sky and then text probably.
Okay. I'd be careful. I might go in here because I like to lock together all the big shapes as soon as I can.
Hmm.
And this is an easy one. So I might go in here. See, now when I don't need the smart guides, I think they're a pain in the ass.
Hmm.
So I'm going to go Command U and get rid of them there. And I'm going to make a marquee here or a box. I'll do it up to here maybe. Get rid of this, get rid of that. Let's go here. I'm going to go to my swatches and see if I can find anything cool in here. Gradients. Oh, they got pastels. Let's try the pastels.
Yeah.
What happened? Oops.
Oh, put that layer over the Procreate layer.
Oh. There it is. So now I'm going to go, I don't want it that way. I want it this way. So if I have that back there, it's going to help me out with my lighting. Okay. And the other thing I might do is go, well, this is probably going to be more, at least at some point, you know, it's going to have some green or something in it.
Hmm.
So I'll just say this color here. Let's change that. I'll just do that. Okay. And those are just block-ins, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Not, but what it does is it starts to make me go, okay, I can, again, because once I do that, now I look at it and I go, these greens are really saturated.
Hmm.
So I might pull those back a little bit, right?
Okay.
This doesn't look bad. And then obviously you got to fill that little hole. I might just put a bush right there.
Okay.
I mean, that's up to you. But sometimes I can just rob my my assets that I already have.
Hmm.
God damn it. Hang on. Damn, that's annoying. Hang on. And I might bring something down here from somewhere else, or I might make a new one, whatever. Because sometimes I look at things and it's not that I'm trying to avoid anything. It's just that I actually just go, I don't think that's important for me to explain all that over there. You know, and it's just not that important.
Yeah.
And then I dial in my colors here. Go, it needs to be a little bigger. Boom. You know, and then I dial that color in. See how that looks very, really saturated?
Yeah.
So I might just, and I might just go get it. And it's very blue too. I'd probably warm it up a little. Let's put it there for now. Just warm it up a little. And then I look at this and I go, okay, can I warm this up a little? Again, let's go. I'm going to go to my, I'm going to go to my color books and go back to my Pantone. Make sure you never use a neon color in here. I'm going to go to, I don't know why those are connected, but I'm just going to go here. And I'm just going to try and pick. I want to warm. That's too much. Too much. Trying to find like a nice warm little orangey hit. It's getting there. No. And I don't want to go down here into these neons at all. Too much. I'm going to dial this in a little bit. Hang on. enough. You know, and I just try and dial in like, and I'd probably, again, we've talked about this. I'd probably go over here and like cool this out a little bit, really get a nice sunlighty kind of lighting on it, some kind of texture out here, all that, blah, blah, blah. But the reason I put these two in is you don't know. And it's a reason when you're doing an illustration, you immediately want to cover the canvas as much as you can. And especially when it's just big blocks of color like this. And you're going to adjust them and everything, but at least if I put it in there, I can start to gauge my lighting in relation to that sky and everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you need that, because you can do a lot of work and you go, wow, it looks really cool. And then you put the sky behind it and it's like, oh, wait a minute, that's screaming, or that's not enough, or whatever.
Mm.
And if I just pop those back there, lock off that layer, I've got something to gauge my color and value against, right? Because everything is relevant to everything, or relative next to what it is next to, whether it's value or color or temperature. It's relevant to, or relative to what's next to it, right?
Yep.
So you just never know until you get all that in there. That's why you're always trying to cover the canvas as fast as you can, right? Or not as fast as you can, but get it all covered, right? Same thing with when you're out painting, plein air painting or whatever. You got to get that board covered. I usually wash it with a bunch of orange. So I get rid of the white. And then and I like that little pop of orange and stuff coming through here and there. But that really just unifies the whole panel for me. And when I start putting colors down on it, I'm trying to cover that board as quick as I can. So I go, oh, okay, that's way. And then there's all this adjustment when you're doing it, because you throw something down, you go, that looks pretty good. But then as soon as you put something next to it, you go, whoa, that's way off. So there's all that, and we're not machines, and we're not normally just going wham and hitting everything irrelevant of everything else. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So I would just do that. And I don't like this is too salmony. I'm trying to get sunlight and that feels too salmony. Now, if I cooled this off, see, that's another thing. Like I look at that and I go, okay, it's too salmony. Wait, let's do this. But again, I don't know that until I come in, and I'm just going to half-ass this. I think we did this before. And I'll go back. I'm just going to cover this. Oops. This is really half-assed. So I'm going to come in here. Maybe I can find a cool in here I like. And again, if I did this, I'd have to come back in. This is probably going to be really weird. Hang on. And that's never what I'm going to use. I'm just checking. And then I'm going to pull it. That's way too pinky. Too purpley. Too blue. Let's pull that back just for the hell of it. Because if I cool that off a little bit, then that's going to completely affect how this orange reads. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I still haven't got it yet, but I'd have to dial in that blue. And now I got a neon in there, which I don't want. So on and so forth. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I pulled it back so far, I can't see it anymore. Oops. A little closer. Because that, in this case, again, one of the things I always think of when I think of that park is that sunlight at the end of the day is really nice,
Yeah.
And then this horizon is backwards back here. This should be. It should get warm, or the other way around. This should be down here. And it should get deeper as it goes up.
Okay.
Because it stays warmer like this here. I might be able to come in. It's going to be screaming, but I'll knock it down. I could warm it up a little more towards the horizon too. because it tends to get dirtier, warmer, and lighter towards the horizon. Okay. You know, you get a little pop, right? And it'll just be sitting behind all your foliage, and all this foliage back here. I'd probably just do those as silhouettes, like the stuff way
Okay.
back there,
Uh-huh.
like a nice cool silhouette back there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was a nice job though.
Thanks. Oh, question. So what if I wanted to do it kind of as in like a morning scene? How would the sky look?
Very similar. I mean, morning light is like, they always say morning light's bluer, but I mean, you still get that same thing. The sun's low on the horizon.
Hmm.
So if you think about it, when it's coming up in the morning, it's low on the horizon. Sunset is low on the horizon,
Hmm.
right? So you're sort of getting sort of the same idea. Because I see, if you ever notice, you'll see paintings. And you know, I go, is that late afternoon or morning? Because they kind of look the same. So I just kind of take the same approach.
Okay.
Now with this place, because it's a real place, and I just like doing this just because I'm a dork, you know, I just go, where is that sun? You know, as I remember it. Oh wait, this is the other building. I think I can't remember. I kind of look at it and go, what time of day does it hit this? You know, is it morning? You know, and I go look at it. I just love doing that. I love doing research. You know what I mean? And then I'll just go there in the morning and go, what does it feel like here now? Oh, look at the trees back there are a little cooler. And everything's a little cooler, you know, and or maybe it's just vibey stuff, or you go, I'm just picking up this, you know, what's different, and then go there in the afternoon and go, what's different here now? Now it's going to be the light direction's different, but I'm looking for quality of light.
Okay.
You know, so like I get in the morning, I don't know, maybe there's more moisture in the air, so everything starts to go cooler and more atmospheric as it goes back. Who knows? You know what I mean? The daytime atmosphere has been warmed up all day. Maybe there's less moisture in the air. I always hear there's more blue in the morning. And it's interesting because sometimes even during the day, I can go out and take a picture of like a sketch or something for whatever. And, you know, in the shade or whatever, you know, and it's not super shady, but it's in the shade. And I'll come in and pull it up on my computer. It is blue as hell that I have to go in and wipe all that blue out in Photoshop and then warm it back up, because it's just getting all this cool in those shadows. You know what I mean? It's interesting. And, you know, we were just talking about this earlier this morning. Try and catalog that stuff. Okay. It's one of the reasons I think it's good to be in a sketchbook, whether you're a graphic designer or whatever, doesn't matter. What that does is it's data entry for your brain. Okay. Now I have a terrible memory. I don't remember nothing. Like I can go, oh, I need to go get a paper clip in the kitchen. By the time I get to the kitchen, I'm like, what the hell did I come in here for? And I've been doing that forever, right? So it's not like scary. It's just I've always been like that. But if you notice, I can go, oh, that looks just like this guy from 1932. Here's that drawing, and blah, 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 and I can remember. That's what my brain retains. Okay, and then from doing a sketchbook and I always thought this anyway. I always thought designers have to kind of know everything, right? And then I had a really good teacher. I think I told you guys about him. He scared the living crap out of me. This guy, okay, and one day we were talking about whatever in class, and he goes, designers have to know everything. And I'm like, right on, that confirms it, right? So this guy had a monster career. And I didn't do this consciously, it just started happening because of a sketchbook. And now when I'm walking through the world, I'm cataloging all the time. Okay, I was just talking about this morning. If I go and I'm sitting around a campfire with people, I'm sitting there studying the campfire, you know, and I'm going, you know, what happens there? Well, that's interesting. Look at all those super slaty gray blues you get in there against all that warmth. And then the embers go not orange, they go magenta orange, and they go almost to white, but there's still warmth. And I'm just looking at all that stuff. Okay. Or if I'm sitting there drawing at the park or painting at the park in the morning, I'm noticing stuff because I'm sitting there hyper concentrating on it, trying to paint it or draw it. And then it really makes my brain have to unfold it. And then if you go there another time, then you go, oh, wow, late in the day, those trees back there in the silhouette stay warm. But in the morning, they were super cool. You know, all that kind of stuff, right? And I'm just constantly cataloging that stuff, constantly. And especially things that point out. I did a talk over at the Great Park for some school. I don't remember who it was, but I don't know if I mentioned this. There was there was like a big hall or something I was doing the talk in. And then it went into another, I don't know, hall or something. And they didn't have a door on it. They had a curtain on it, on that door, right? So I don't know why, but my brain goes, why, how are they holding that up there? They had a cable, like a steel cable that went to the other end, and the other end had a turnbuckle on it. And I was like, I've remembered that, and I've used it a million times, because you can either just go and just have the curtain, or you can go and then have that little silhouette of that little turnbuckle in there, and it gives me another little shape in there. Does that make sense? I'm not drawing it all perfect, just that little turnbuckle in there, and it's just a little silhouette, but it makes it a little better. It makes it a little more believable. Does that make sense? It also just gives me another shape in there, because it bothers me when I see people that don't think about transitional elements or breaking silhouettes or breaking shapes or just putting enough information in it where it's interesting. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
They don't explain anything. The telephone, or the, what do you call it? Lamppost just dies into the ground. It's like, they don't do that. They flare out, then they have a step, and then they go down, then they have another step and a step, and then maybe a decorative element around it. Why? Because if you just stick a pipe into the ground, it's ugly. There has to transition. Plus there's this idea of it kind of taking off vertically. You know what I mean? From a design, and trust me, people who design this stuff think about that. You know what I mean? So I think it's, with the lighting and all that kind of stuff, I always just go check it out.
Yeah.
And you can even read things on it, because I'm pretty sure they say light's cooler in the morning, bluer in the morning, I think. You know what I mean? It definitely has a feel. Like sometimes I'll see a painting, I go, that's morning.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, that feels cool, and it feels like morning, and then with that warm light and all that. Okay, does that all make sense?
Yeah.
This is going to be a good one. Now you can start figuring out the type too.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited about all of them, actually. Okay, so everybody understands this pattern idea. I want you to try that. And what else did we talk about at the beginning? Oh, the gradient mask. Yeah?
Yeah.
And just remember, you're making the gradient mask to fit over your element, right? Black and white. Then you just cut it, and then you go to the, when you do that make mask thing, it'll give you the little window for that, and you paste it into that make mask thing, and then you can just adjust it. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It's a handy trick to have. And by the way, it used to be a pain in the ass. Okay? That used to be a huge pain in the ass to do. I don't know why. All right, hang on.
Are you done?
Huh?
Are you done with the students?
Yeah. Why?
Random question. I heard from Elan that you're thinking about teaching a planner painting class since
Yeah, I
we're
am
on the subject of that. Cool.
I was hoping to teach it in the fall, but it still hasn't gone through.
Mhm.
So I'm going to make sure that thing goes through by spring for sure.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to get an adjunct to teach it, at least not the first couple times. I'm going to teach it myself.
Okay.
Because I'm really into plein air. I love plein air. I have a very specific idea about all that. Okay. So what are we at? We're Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have the weekend. We should probably be wrapping these up probably on Monday, right?
Mhm.
I'll go through. I'm not going to put the due date for Monday. I'll put it for Wednesday. But I want to start by Monday. I think we should start looking at fairly finished pieces. And now we're just going to maybe do one more pass and try and push them a little further. And that's it. Yeah. And maybe I might do a packaging thing after this. Yeah.
Cool.
I
Yeah.
hadn't thought of that, but it's actually good. If you guys haven't done a lot of die lines and things like that, it's actually good just to get a little bit of get your hands dirty with it a little bit. Yeah.
Mhm.
But Ray, have you taken print technology?
Yeah, I took I think the 101 over the summer.
Okay, good. Did it help you out?
We made like stickers and stuff, and
Yeah,
brochures.
I think it's really fun.
Yeah.
But it's also obviously really important.
Mm.
Really important. And I'd say the same thing for an illustrator. I don't think it's bad knowledge to have. Yeah. It's just like with these clays and all this kind of stuff. Now with my personal work or whatever, I need to be able to go in there and go, this is you did this wrong. You did in reason, because sometimes people argue with you about it, you know, they go, oh no, that's just a printer. It's like, no, it isn't. Here's what, let me go and look on your computer. I'll show you what's wrong with it. Okay. And I don't, you know, these guys did a great job. I'm not complaining, but you got to have that understanding of the technology and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, you guys, I'm gonna let you go. I have my stuff. So try and push them as far as you can by Monday.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys. I'll talk to you on Monday.
Thanks, Mike.
Have a good weekend.